What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and today this is going to be one of very many videos that we're going to be talking about from the Patriots win in Week 1 over the Miami Dolphins. Of course, that score being 21-11, New England again coming out with that win. And I thought there would be no better way to really start diving into the discussion than to again bring back the series that you guys love, and that is the winners and losers series. Now, like always, by now, you guys know how this works, but for those of you who are new to the channel, a guy has to perform really well or really bad, and notably well or notably bad to make this list. But let's just hop right into the first winner, and it's going to be Cam Newton. We all knew that Cam Newton was going to be in this list and that he was going to be a winner. It was clear from the start, the first snap the Patriots had, that they were going to be very committed to the running game. And I think a lot of people expected the running game to be more so the running backs, but no, Cam Newton was actually the leading back for the New England Patriots, surprisingly. So he was the quarterback, but he was also the top running back, finishing the game with 15 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is actually the most he's had since, I think it was 2016. 100% the New England Patriots offense did look different. We saw a lot of shotgun. We saw a lot of pass option or run pass options by Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, and of course Cam Newton. I was so happy with what I saw today just from Week 1. I think you can clearly see that the New England Patriots are kind of taking a preseason type approach, and what I mean by that is the fact that, look, we all know the New England Patriots kind of take September as an extended preseason, but we didn't get a single preseason at all, so the Patriots are really going to be treating September as that type of preseason, and we saw that just with personnel. We saw certain guys play the first half, and we saw other guys play the second half, what they would do in a preseason game. Now, of course, they are still taking the season very seriously, but they're just trying to kind of seeing what they have at hand as they progress through on the rest of the season. It was extremely clear right away from the first quarter, with even in the first, I would say, 5 to 10 plays offensively, that they fixed the one thing that I desperately wanted this offense to fix, and that was predictability. If you know me by now, you would know that I think that last year, a big reason that the Patriots offense failed was because they were just so predictable. I could just sit back and say, okay, this is what they were going to do. If I could do it, I can only imagine what professional defensive coordinators were able to do. With Cam Newton, it's extremely tough. He can pass the ball. He can take the ball himself. He can hand the ball off. It's extremely tough to say what he's going to do, especially because he's able to pick defenses apart. And we already saw that. We saw him being able to comprehend what the defense was throwing at him and being able to switch up the play in the huddle, which again, we saw him do today. And by just in Week 1, him already doing that is a really good sign. I mean, it really just opens up the New England Patriots playbook, because you have to account for Cam Newton. That's something that we all expected to have to happen. When Tom Brady was on the field, you don't really have to count for him because he's not going to be a mobile guy. He's not really going to rush, but with Newton, you have to. And a lot of times we saw the Miami Dolphins loading the box because, you know, they knew that the New England Patriots were going to try to run the ball or they were going to try to pass the ball, but they expected it to be more short action type of plays. And that's when Cam Newton could read the defense and go, okay, clearly they're loading up the box. I know I'm going to get a lot of pressure in my face. Let's switch it to a pass play and try to do something there, because chances are I'm not going to get much within the run game. If he's able to see that they're not really loading up the box, maybe expecting it to be more of a zone man-to-man, maybe a passing play, then he can kind of take the ball and go off for himself. Overall, I think what we saw today was a lot of remnants of the Baltimore Ravens and what they're doing with Lamar Jackson, which honestly, I'm not upset about. Cam Newton was 15 for 19 passing. He threw for 155 yards, 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Again, as a rusher, had 15 attempts for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns with a longest run of about 12 yards. Overall, great day for Cam. And in his first game with the New England Patriots, first game back for a while, coming back from injury, he looked really healthy, looked really good, and really led us to this win. Now, my first loser on this list is going to be running back Sony Michel. Now, Sony didn't have a terrible day, and that's that's a bit of a push. There were some times that we saw some pretty decent runs from him, but then when you look more into the stats, Sony had a pretty rough day, and it makes sense why Bill Belichick ended up going more with Rex Burkhead and J.J. Taylor. Sony Michel, of course, was the featured back to begin for the New England Patriots. The Patriots are trying to get him involved. They're trying to give him the chances. They obviously and clearly they want him to be that featured back desperately, and they're giving him the opportunities to do so. It's just not working out for him. And you can't at this point say it's because of the offensive line, because other guys are having more success than you are. Believe it or not, Sony Michel had 10 rushing attempts today. That was 5 less than Cam Newton, but he had the most out of any running back. James White had 5. J.J. Taylor had 4. Rex Burkhead had 7. And yet, Sony Michel only rushed for 37 yards, had a touchdown when he got an opportunity at the goal line, and his longest run was for about 7 yards. Again, he got the opportunity early in the game. He got the most opportunities out of any other running back that the New England Patriots had, and he was just not able to showcase himself. And when you have a UDFA running back like J.J. Taylor, who is definitely completely outperforming you, even got a little bit of action within the passing game, which we saw nothing of with Sony Michel. We know that that is a struggle of his. It is not a good look for you. We knew that Sony Michel already was on the hot seat with the New England Patriots heading into the beginning of the season. We knew that they have a committee, but they're not truly committed to Sony Michel, although they want to be, because of the production that he is showing them. I mean, Rex Burkhead had 5 less yards than Sony Michel did and only had 7 rush attempts compared to Sony Michel's 10. And Rex Burkhead had a longer run. He had a long run of 15 yards, where again, Sony Michel had a long run of 7. Essentially, it is only week 1. This isn't something to get too concerned about, but again, this is something that we saw last season and had concerns about. This is something we saw in training camp, had concerns about. And again, when the Patriots have other guys on the depth chart outperforming him, and let's remember, Damian Harris is supposed to come back at some point, what's going to happen to Sony Michel if he cannot pick up his game? Now, speaking of Mr. J.J. Taylor, that is going to be the next winner on this list. I was very happy with J.J. Taylor. I was also very surprised. Now, I was very cautious heading into this game with J.J. Taylor just because of the history that we've seen with Bill Belichick. Belichick, when he kind of promotes these guys, usually makes them a healthy scratch. And right when I saw that he was not on the healthy scratch list, that he was going to be active for today, I went, okay, maybe we'll see a few runs with J.J. Taylor. And honestly, I don't think Bill Belichick and the coaching staff necessarily expected for him to have the game he did, for him to end up being utilized as much as he did. But he ended up having just 4 rush attempts because he didn't really play at all within the first half. When the Patriots entered the second half, that's kind of when they gave him a few opportunities. But he had 4 rush attempts for 28 yards, had 0 touchdowns, and a long run of 11 yards. I mean, J.J. Taylor was averaging 7 yards per attempt, whereas Sony Michel was averaging 3.7. He also had 1 reception for 4 yards. Every single time that J.J. Taylor was given the ball, 1, he looked extremely fast. That was extremely visible. He was extremely elusive, and he really showed us that he is very Dion Lewis-esque. Dion Lewis type of player, but I would even say faster. And each time he ran the ball, he picked up really, really good yardage for the New England Patriots that put them in really good position, 1, to help run the clock, but 2, to help the Patriots offense get the ball down the field efficiently, because again, if they're able to run the ball efficiently and do it well, it will also help preserve Cam Newton, the receivers, and even help out the passing game. They even had J.J. Taylor in the second half on special teams. Didn't really see anything from him, but the fact that he was given the ability to be on special teams as a returner, they gave him chances to be there in running back. And obviously he performed well, not just as a running back, but even got, some catches, which neither of the other running backs got, of course, for minus James White. But I definitely think that this puts the New England Patriots at a very interesting point where I think they're going to keep him on this roster and they're going to give him some more snaps to see what he can do and just see, okay, was this a one-game fluke or not? Do we have something special with this guy, and can he continue to do what he did versus the Miami Dolphins? If he's able to do that, I think it's going to be something really special for the New England Patriots, and you are going to see him a lot more within the rotation. Now my next loser on this list is going to be wide receiver Nikhil Harry, and I hate having to put Nikhil Harry on this list. There were some moments where he did good, and there were some moments that I think we all just stopped and went, dear God, Nikhil, what are you doing? Like, we need more from you at a very thin wide receiver depth chart. He ended up finishing the day with 5 receptions for 39 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a long catch of 13 yards. He tied with the most receptions with Julian Edelman, but Edelman finished with 57 yards and had a long catch of 16. Now, there were certain times where I liked what I saw from Nikhil Harry. I liked that I finally got to see him using his body and his physicality more and not having to rely on his feet. He's just being true to the receiver that he is, and I like that. And again, there were some times that we saw some pretty good things. But there were also some times that we're just sitting there going, Nikhil, what are you doing? And it still looks like he is having some troubles getting open. The biggest thing that put him on this list was the fumble. Gets a reception, should have been into the end zone, should have had a touchdown. The New England Patriots should have put up 7 points on the board easy after an interception that they had, which led to that drive. Within the 5-yard line, Nikhil Harry fumbles the ball, ends up going through the end zone, and is a touchback for the Miami Dolphins. New England was right there, a few yards away from putting up a score. And that is when things started to get a little bit too comfortable for comfort. You know, they started to get too close in the game because of Nikhil. Essentially, what should have been an easy touchdown would have been a guaranteed touchdown based of how we seen the offense and Cam Newton playing that day. It would have been a touchdown, but instead of that happening, we ended up giving the ball back to, Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins, in which they ended up going down and scoring on that drive. So instead of 21 points that the New England Patriots put up today, it should have been at least 28. Also, in that case, the Miami Dolphins wouldn't have put those points up on the board. So, a lot of people are saying, well, Patriots Global 21-11, that's not that big. But you have to remember that if Nikhil doesn't fumble that ball, the New England Patriots are sitting at least 28 points, and the Miami Dolphins are sitting at less than 11 points. Overall, it was just a very, very sloppy play by Nikhil. Now, guys, real quick, the wait is finally over because football is finally back. Now, we might not be able to be at the game this year, but we can still get in with all of the action due to BetOnline. Now, BetOnline is going that extra mile to make sure that you get in on everything imaginable for this upcoming season. All the way from game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any place online. Now, you can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on win, division, and championship features today. If you're interested, which again, I just don't understand why you wouldn't be, go ahead right now to BetOnline today and take advantage of all of their great sign-up bonuses. Guys, we're talking about BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, my next winner on this list is a guy that I am so happy we can finally talk about in a positive way. A guy that I'm so happy I could finally put on a winner in one of these videos after the years that he's been on this team, and that's going to be defensive end / linebacker Derrick Rivers. Now, I'll be very curious to see exactly how much of a snap count Derrick Rivers had, but I definitely do not think it was too much. All offseason, Derrick Rivers had a pretty low-key but strong camp. We heard a lot of good things about him, really by the end of it. He's a guy that I think went unnoticed and didn't get appreciated enough, but he was looking really good in training camp for the few weeks we had it. He looked like he kind of bulked up a little bit also, but he was able to put up a sack, the only sack that the New England Patriots had all day, and also was able to get in for a tackle for loss. Honestly, one of the best defensive linemen that the Patriots had this entire game. Was able to apply pretty good pressure, was able to, again, result in a sack, was able to help out and contribute in the run game. If he's able to be the player that we heard he was this offseason, made the transitions and made the changes to get better and can continue to get better game by game, then he could be a guy that continues to get more snap time and isn't going to be a guy that is just going to be on the healthy scratch list, which surprisingly Josh Uche was on today. Now, my next and final loser on this list is going to be wide receiver Derrick Bird, and it sucks that we have to have two wide receivers as losers on this list because of how freaking thin the Patriots wide receiver court is. And look, I think the Miami Dolphins defense is really good. I think it's extremely underrated. You have Byron Jones, you have Howard, two really good corners in the league. They made really good additions at linebacker. I really feel that people are not giving enough credit to the Miami Dolphins, especially after, a lot of people speculated the Miami Dolphins to win this game. But despite that, the New England Patriots will be facing more tough opponents than the Miami Dolphins, and these receivers are going to need, it's going to be crucial that these receivers step it up, especially compared to what we saw today. Now, Derrick Bird didn't record a single statistic, at least not a single positive statistic. Definitely saw him a lot in the game offensively, but just was not able to get any looks his way, was not able to get any receptions. Honestly, I never saw him open. He was mirrored pretty well. Again, when he was signed, I said that he was a guy who pretty much does rely on his speed. I think that he's a better version of Philip Dorsett in the sense of he can run some pretty good routes, and his route tree is pretty substantial than I think he is given credit for, but essentially just wasn't able to get open. A guy who really does rely on his speed. Hopefully they can get him more open down the field as the season progresses, but he was also a return man today, and that duty quickly got taken away from him when he ended up fumbling. Now, this was I believe the first time the New England Patriots got a ball. It was, I believe, a kickoff. So either kickoff or punt, but I believe it was a kickoff by the Miami Dolphins. He was the return man, and he just fumbles. Now, in his defense a little bit, he did kind of get pushed back. Great play by the Miami Dolphins special teams, but still, you got to secure that ball. If you don't think you're going to be able to handle it, then look, just wave it, fair catch. Don't do anything stupid. But again, those duties quickly got taken away from him, and they had Julian Edelman come into the game for a little while as a return man, which none of us want. Mixed with him not being able to get open today, not recording a single positive statistic, not any targets gone his way, no receptions, not a single yard, and losing a fumble, he just had to be a loser on this list. And let's end this video positively with the last player. It's going to be a winner in safety, Adrian Phillips. I loved what I saw from Adrian Phillips today. He essentially was the guy we were talking about to replace Patrick Chung, kind of that Patrick Chung 2.0, has the ability to play special teams, but we saw him a lot today on defense. A lot of people kind of speculated that he was going to be getting mostly safety looks, which personally I didn't think. He was playing a lot in that hybrid safety role, in the box, playing as more of a coverage linebacker, which I told you guys to expect from Adrian Phillips this upcoming year because of all the losses the Patriots had at linebacker and the fact that the personnel they currently have at linebacker aren't really known for being coverage linebackers. He was a guy that essentially was just making plays all day. He was really good in securing tackles. I think because the Miami Dolphins weren't really expecting that, he played a lot towards the line of scrimmage. He was a little able to go unnoticed, which is why he was able at one point to kind of drop back into coverage and picked off Ryan Fitzpatrick and got his first interception as a New England Patriot. He's going to be a guy that is extremely, extremely vital for this New England Patriots defense because he has the ability to play safety, but he's really going to play that hybrid linebacker safety role. Going to be playing a lot in the box, going to be playing a lot near the line of scrimmage just to help the Patriots out in the middle of the field with those coverage duties. He's also going to be a guy that is going to be more of a quarterback spy. He's had the ability to do this before. In fact, when he was with the Chargers, he did do this. He did it with Patrick Mahomes. He did it with Lamar Jackson. He did it with Josh Allen, etc. These more mobile quarterbacks, and he did good at it. And if you look at the New England Patriots past, they struggle with stopping those mobile quarterbacks. So, again, when you look at the need for the New England Patriots, you look at their opponents, and you look at what we saw today, Adrian Phillips is just going to be so vital for this New England Patriots team, and just performed extremely well today. But that's going to be it for today's video. These are some of my winners and losers. Is there anyone specifically that you feel really should have been on this list, either as a winner or a loser? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big, big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.
In Astro World.